Good evening all. I am S. Simon. I am working as a primary school teacher in Puducherry. On behalf of Universal Teachers Academy Puducherry and Teach a Man to Fish, United Kingdom, we are happy to organize this orientation program on School Challenge, School Enterprise Challenge. I would like to welcome our UTA organizer from UTA Maharashtra, Ms. Leena, to introduce the resource person to our participants. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Thank you. Well, good evening, everybody. So I'll begin with a quote. Don't limit yourself. Many people limit themselves to what they think they can do. You can go as far as your mind lets you. What you believe, remember, you can achieve. I, Ms. Leena Jain, an organizer with UTA, would like to introduce you to our distinguished personality present among us, Ms. India Jankil, who is Program Manager for the School Enterprise Challenge team at Teach a Man to Fish at the global level with UK. Now, she has joined the team in 2015 as a part of School Enterprise Challenge. She is responsible for leading on the creation of educational materials, systems development, and the mentors program. Before joining Teach a Man to Fish, India taught English at primary school in Dominican Republic for a year. She has also worked abroad in turn for the Red Cross Center for Cooperation in the Mediterranean, Barcelona, and Egyptian Center for Women's Rights in Cairo. India holds a BA in International Relations with advanced proficiency in Spanish from University of Exeter. So without any further delay, I would like to welcome Ms. India on behalf of entire UTA family and would like to request her to take over the session from here. You're welcome, India. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Simon and Leena, for the introduction. I'm so excited to be here today presenting the School Enterprise Challenge to all of you. And thank you for giving up your Saturday to be here. So I am the Global Programs Manager at Teach a Man to Fish. And we are an educational charity based in the United Kingdom. Our mission is to empower young people with the skills that they need to succeed in school, in work, and in life. And today, I am going to be telling you about our award-winning program for schools, the School Enterprise Challenge. So let's take a look at what we will be covering today. The duration of the session will be about 1 hour. I'm going to start by telling you about Teach a Man to Fish, a little bit about the history of our organization and the impact that we have had so far, and also our vision for the future and how you can be part of it. And then for most of the session, we will be talking about the School Enterprise Challenge. So we will cover what it is, all of the benefits of taking part. I'm going to share with you a few inspirational stories and testimonials from past participants. Then I'll explain how the School Enterprise Challenge works, and I'm going to give you a quick demonstration of the online platform so that you can see it for yourselves. Then finally, I am going to give you some of my personal top tips for success so that you here today have the best chance of winning a prize. And then I have left plenty of time at the end of the session for questions and answers. But of course, If you have any questions while I'm speaking, please type them in the chat box and I can then respond to them later. So about Teach a Man to Fish. We work with educators and young people around the world to set up youth-led businesses, which are both educational and profitable. So for the last 15 years, our programs have empowered young people with the skills that they need to succeed in school, work, and life, and to make a positive impact on the world around them. So far, we have trained 20,000 teachers to support 430,000 young people around the world to become entrepreneurs. And together, those students have set up an incredible 6,000 school businesses. Our vision is of a powerful movement of young people developing skills, not just for their own benefit, but empowered to use these skills to help other people in their community. So today, I am going to show you how you can join us and become part of this movement and join the thousands of other schools around the world who are already taking part in the School Enterprise Challenge. And you can empower your students with life-changing skills too. So what exactly is the School Enterprise Challenge? Well, it is our award-winning international business program for schools. It empowers students to develop essential 21st century skills like communication, problem solving, leadership, and teamwork in a fun, practical, and interactive way. It is completely free to register and take part. I'll say that again because it might come as a surprise. Completely free to register and take part. And the program is divided into 3 simple steps, which I'll tell you about now. So the first step is when students come up with an idea for their business. In this first step, students will think about their dreams for the future and how planning and setting up a school business could help them to achieve their dreams. Then they will do a resource assessment, which is when they will see what resources they have around them at school, which they could use to start a business. After that, they will brainstorm different ideas before they pick their final business idea. And that is the end of step 1. Then step 2 is all about planning the business. In step 2, there are lots of fun activities to get students out of the classroom. For example, doing market research, like surveys and interviews with potential customers, and doing an analysis of competitors in the local area. And by the end of step 2, your students will have a business plan and a financial plan, which they can use to put their ideas into action. And then we have the final step, step 3, which is the most fun and exciting part of all. So in step 3, students actually put their plan into action and launch and run their business. That means they start selling their product to real customers and they make real money. And it's theirs to decide what they want to do with that income that they've generated. At the end of step 3, students reflect on what they have achieved and learned, and they submit to us an annual report. So there are 3 documents that your students will complete through the program. Step 1, the business idea. Step 2, the business plan. And step 3, the annual report. Now, throughout all 3 steps, we encourage you to get your students to take the lead. In our experience, students enjoy the School Enterprise Challenge and they get the most out of it when they get to take the lead on all of the decision making. As teachers, you can be there to guide them. And of course, we at Teach a Man to Fish will be supporting you every step of the way. So you might be wondering by now, what types of businesses do students set up? Well, the answer is absolutely anything. So over the years, we have seen schools set up lots of different types of businesses. Some students choose to sell products like handicrafts made out of waste, or vegetables that they have grown, or clothes that they have made. And other schools choose to set up service-based businesses. It could be a car wash, a hairdressing salon, or a cinema screening, for example. Really, the only limit is your students' imagination. So on the left of the screen, you can see a photo of the students at the British Co-ed High School in Punjab. They set up a business selling a range of products, including hand-painted pots, greetings cards, and herbs. And in this photo, you can see the students proudly displaying the logo for their school business on the wall. These students made a profit of 77,500 rupees in just 4 months. I'm sure you can agree that's an incredible achievement. They're planning to give some of their profits to a local community school and to reinvest the rest of the profits in growing the business. I have a second example to show you, which is the photo on the right of the screen, the young business team at Satya Elementary School in Dulka. They decided to set up an eco-friendly business called Go Green. And these students are selling jute and cotton bags. They chose this business idea because they were aware of the environmental damage of plastic bags, and they wanted to start an environmentally friendly business which would make a difference in their local area. To raise the money that they needed to start the business, the students invested their pocket money and they sold waste materials such as newspaper and old books to raise some extra cash. Then they used this money to buy the beads and laces that they needed to decorate the bags. These entrepreneurial students made 3,000 rupees in profit. And the students told me that now they would like to grow their business by manufacturing other products like doormats, carpets, and curtains. And they're planning to invest their profits in machinery and a place to rent so that they can increase their production. And this is something that we really encourage because we want students to set up sustainable businesses which can keep growing year on year and involve even more students so that more students can build these essential 21st century skills and benefit from the program. So there you had 2 examples from India. And now I'd like to tell you about the winners of the School Enterprise Challenge last year. So this next example is Alpha Core School in Pakistan. Last year, they won the top global prize of $5,000 US. And every year we have big prizes on offer. Again, this year, we have a top global prize of $5,000. You could be the winner. So listen up to hear what these students did. This team of young students from Alpha Core School decided to collect waste paper and scraps of paper from their school classrooms. And then in their science lab, they turned it into recycled paper. And with the recycled paper, they made a few different products like decorative papers, frames, ribbons, and book covers. In their annual report, the students explained that the business not only helped them to gain awareness about the importance of caring for the environment through the principle of reduce, reuse, and recycle, but also they said that they improved their math skills through learning about how to create a financial plan and calculate their income, costs, and profit. And finally, I wanted to share with you a quote from one of the students that took part in the School Enterprise Challenge before. So this last example comes from Habib Girls School, who are also in Pakistan. And they won the top global prize 2 years ago. They actually set up 2 businesses at their school. One of them specialized in the production and sales of organic beauty products. And the other one focused on growing and selling plants, which were sold as gifts with personalized messages and special packaging. These 2 school businesses were so successful that in fact, they managed to get news coverage for their fantastic businesses. And they've also used their success to improve the community because their profits were put towards planting trees in their local area and also donated to a local charity. One of the students at this school, Adina, said, "The experience of the School Enterprise Challenge has definitely changed me and my mindset for the future. I am much more passionate about starting my own business and leading my way. I now have more responsibility for problems and have learned to pick up the slack and take initiative. It also showed me the importance of teamwork and most importantly, the importance of being financially independent." I think that story is so powerful. It's wonderful to hear in her own words how much the program impacted young Adina. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. So let's now take a look at some of the other benefits of taking part. So for students, the most important reason is because this program, the School Enterprise Challenge, allows them to gain knowledge about how to plan and run a business and to develop 21st century skills like problem solving, communication, leadership, and teamwork. All of the things which will help them in their future, whatever they choose to do after school, whether that's going to university or joining the workforce, or maybe setting up their own business after school. What's so great about the program is that it gives students practical experience and the opportunity to learn by doing. And finally, let's not forget, it's very fun. many of the students who take part get in touch with us to tell us how much fun they're having and how it has changed their perspective of school and makes them want to go to school more regularly. Now, thinking about the benefits for you as teachers, you will also get to develop business skills through the program. So it does not matter if you don't know anything about business now. We will provide you with all of the ready-made educational resources like lesson guides, videos, and worksheets to hand out to your students, which you will need to guide them through the program. Through these, you will learn lots of new experiential learning techniques, and it will save you time because we provide everything ready-made for you to use in the classroom. And for your school, it's fantastic too, because your team will earn extra income, which the students can decide what to do with. So in the past, many students have decided to use their business profit to improve the school facilities, for example, by building extra classrooms and latrines, or to support vulnerable students, like paying for their school fees and uniforms, or donating to a local charitable cause. Finally, you'll be joining a thriving international community of thousands of other entrepreneurial schools. So this year, we have schools taking part from 92 countries, from Argentina all the way to Zimbabwe. And you will have the opportunity to connect with these teachers around the world through WhatsApp, through Facebook, and our online events, so that you can share your experience and learn from one another. And of course, let's not forget about the prizes. So here is the prize list for 2022, which I mentioned earlier. There is over $25,000 on offer for the most enterprising schools, individual students, and teachers. So you can see here, there are prizes at every step of the way. Business idea, business plan, and business implementation. And the prizes get bigger at each step. Now, I thought that you might be interested to know, since so many of you are from India, that over the years, we have had thousands of schools in India take part in the program with great success. And in fact, last year, 1/3 of the prizes were won by schools in India. So I have a lot of confidence that if you register and start taking part, you could also be a winner this year. As well as these cash prizes, we also award certificates to every participant to recognize and reward your achievements. So we give certificates at every level for your school, for the students who have taken part, for you as teachers to recognize your contribution, and also to head teachers. Okay, so that is all about prizes and certificates. So now we'll take a closer look at how the School Enterprise Challenge works. So as I mentioned before, we provide all of the educational materials that you will need to carry out the 14 lessons in the program. you will download the business guides and the other materials through our interactive platform, which I will show you in a moment. And once you have taught a lesson to your students, so to give you an example, lesson 5 is about market research. Once you've taught the lesson and your students understand the business concept, then they will go out and carry out the real world activity. So in this case, they will go and do market research for their own business idea. After each lesson, students will work together to answer a few questions. And these answers are automatically compiled into their 3 submission documents. That is business idea, business plan, and annual report. And it is these submission documents which are reviewed by our panel of expert judges to decide if each team has met the criteria to receive their certificates and be considered for a prize. There are different types of certificates that your team could receive, and that is bronze, silver, or gold. So which accreditation your team gets depends on the quality of your students' business idea, business plan, and annual report. There is an achievement criteria which clearly shows what a bronze, silver, and gold answer looks like. So it is easy for you and your students to know what is expected of them. Most schools achieve bronze in the first year that they take part, and then come back the next year to try to achieve silver and then gold. But if you're really committed, your students could achieve silver or even gold the very first time that they take part. So now that I have told you about how the program works, I would like to give you a quick demonstration of the platform so that you can see for yourself how the lessons are presented and how students answer the questions and submit their documents at each step. Can you now see a different screen, the platform? If someone could give me a thumbs up or let me know in the chat. Great, okay. So when you first log in, thank you, you will see your school dashboard. Here you can edit your school details and you can invite other teachers at your school to join your account so that they can support you and follow along with how your students are progressing through the program. Below that, you will see the business teams that you have set up at your school. So if it is your first time taking part, then we usually recommend that you have one business team in the first year. But if you want to have more than one team, if you have lots of teachers at your school that want to get involved, then that's fantastic. And you can absolutely do that. So you can set up as many teams as you like in your school dashboard. So we'll have a look now at team number 1, the quick store. So I'll click on access lessons. And this will open up the team dashboard, which is unique to this team number 1. So you can see that the 14 lessons in the program are clearly divided into the 3 steps. So in step 1, business idea, there are 4 lessons. In step 2, business plan, we have lessons 5 to 9. And in step 3, implementation, we have lessons 10 to 14. And if we go back up to the top, you can see in step 1, in this example, we have already completed lessons 1, 2, and 3. So I'll show you what lesson 4 looks like, which would be the next one to complete. So I've clicked on open lesson, and it's going to load the lesson content for lesson 4. We'll look at this one as an example, but all of the 14 lessons follow the same structure. So once you have done lesson 1 and lesson 2, it will become very familiar, and it will be quicker for you to go through them. So each lesson begins with an introduction to the topic. In this case, lesson 4 is called Finance Your Business, and it's all about helping your students to develop strategies to raise the money that they would need to start their school business. Then below the introduction, you have some instructions on how to teach this lesson and the lesson learning objectives for students. Then we get to the lesson resources for teachers. So every lesson comes with a business guide, which you can download by clicking here. And many of the lessons have extra resources as well, like videos and worksheets. So you can see this lesson has an extra guide called Raising the Startup Capital Guide, which is full of ideas on how you can raise the seed money to start your business. There are so many ways of doing it, like organizing a fundraising event, selling shares, or asking for a loan from your school. Then underneath the lesson resources, there are always a few case studies so that you can learn from how other schools have done these activities in the past. So here we have an example from a school in Nigeria, and this particularly nice one from a school in India, who ran a school business called Cutting Edge, selling carrier bags and masks made from old clothes. To raise the money to start their business, they organized online events like cooking lessons, dancing lessons, and language classes, and they sold tickets to raise money. I think it's such a nice example because the students did this during COVID, when they weren't able to put on in-person events, but it didn't stop them. They decided to put on these online events, and that way they were able to raise the money they needed to set up their business. And then below the case studies, we get to a quiz, because once you've been through the lesson content that you need to teach this to your students, then we have this short quiz so you can test your understanding of the topic. I'll show you what it looks like. You can take the quiz as many times as you like, and this is just for you. So the answers that you give to the quiz, they don't have any impact on your chances of winning a prize. It's really just to make you feel confident that you're ready to teach the lesson to your students. And then finally, at the bottom of the lesson, we have the exercise for students question. So in this lesson, there is just one question, which is where students are asked to describe how they will raise the money for their business idea. You'll see here that you can save the answer as a draft if you want to come back and finish it later. And once you're finished, mark it as complete. Now, I want to go back and show you, I mentioned earlier that as your students answer the questions in each of the lessons, their answers are automatically put together in the submission document. And that means that they don't have to spend lots of time sitting down and writing in one go, but instead they write a little bit at the end of each lesson, and then their submission document is created for them. So this is what the business idea document looks like, for example. So in step 1, you'll describe your school, add a photo of your team holding up their dreams poster. We've got the answers to what resources you have in your school and the ideas that your students have come up with, which I mentioned earlier. The results of the feasibility study, where your students will decide which idea they think is most feasible. And finally, lesson 4, which we were just looking at there. And the last thing I wanted to show you on the platform is the resources that you have available. So over here, if I click on resources on the left, it opens up the resources library. So you'll see there are videos about the School Enterprise Challenge. There are business guides for every lesson. There are worksheets that you can give to your students to complete the activities. We have the achievement criteria, which I mentioned earlier. And finally, some videos of real students that have gone through all of these activities, showing you, for example, how they did their resource assessment or how they did their market research. And as well as all of these resources, you will get lots of support from our team. So we will send you emails with top tips and inspiration from how other schools around the world are doing. You can join WhatsApp groups to connect with other teachers and share your experience. So there is a global WhatsApp group with teachers from all around the world, as well as an India WhatsApp group just for teachers in India. We also hold regular online events with guest speakers so that you can ask your questions one-on-one to myself and my team and other teachers taking part in the program. Okay, I just have a couple more things to tell you about, and then I'll be opening up the floor to questions. So now that I've shown you the online platform, hopefully you're feeling inspired to get your own online account and access to all of these ready-made educational materials. So all you need to do is complete the short registration form. It only takes a few minutes, and remember, it is completely free. So to sign up your school, one teacher per school, that is the teacher who will be responsible for leading the School Enterprise Challenge, needs to go to our website and click register. You will be asked to provide some basic information about your school and yourself. And as part of the registration process, you can choose to invite colleagues who will be supporting you so they can create an account too. Once registered, you will have access to everything I just showed you, which is everything that you need to get started. Now, registrations are going to be closing soon. We expect to close them this month. So I strongly encourage you to register as soon as possible. Why not register today? The sooner you register, the greater your chances of completing all 3 steps this year and winning a prize. So just to explain a bit more about the timeline, as I've mentioned, the program is divided into 3 steps, and your team must complete all 3 steps by the 22nd of November this year to be eligible for certificates and prizes. So that is why I recommend that you register as soon as you can and work towards completing steps 1 and 2 by the 22nd of August. So step 1 is really quick and easy. Many teams do it in just a couple of weeks, so it's definitely achievable. And then you'll have 3 months to set up and run the business and complete the annual report by the 22nd of November. The good news is that the program is completely flexible. So you can complete the lessons at your own pace to fit around exams and school holidays. You just need to make sure that you complete all 3 steps by the 22nd of November if you want to receive your certificates and win a prize this year. If you think, however, that won't be possible for you, then don't worry. I still encourage you to register, and an alternative timeline which you could work towards would be to complete steps 1 and 2 this year. That is your business idea and your business plan this year, and then to submit your annual report next year. Anything that you submit this year will be considered for this year's prizes, and anything you submit next year will be considered for next year's prizes. Speaking of prizes, the final thing I wanted to share with you is my top tips for success. So my tip number 1 is register as soon as possible and start getting familiar with the lesson materials in the platform. My second tip is to let your students take the lead. You'll find that your students are much more motivated and invested in the school business when they are the ones that get to decide what business idea they want to pursue, and they get to make all the decisions, from what price to sell it at to what marketing strategies to use. You, as teachers, can support your students by integrating the school business activities in your regular lessons. So, for example, doing the financial plan, which is lesson 8, is a great opportunity for students to practice their addition, subtraction, and multiplication in maths lessons. Meanwhile, in art and craft lessons, your students could be designing marketing materials like flyers or the packaging for their products. So the school business really provides so many opportunities for you to bring your lessons to life, as well as getting students out of the classroom and learning by doing. And finally, if you would like to win a prize this year and make sure that your students develop all of these skills that we've been talking about, then I would recommend that you refer to the achievement criteria when your students are completing the exercise questions in the lessons which I showed you. So the achievement criteria explains exactly what a bronze, silver, and gold answer looks like, and what the judges who pick the prize winners are looking for. Thank you so much for listening for me speaking so long. I'm sure you might have some questions by now. So I would like to give you the opportunity to ask your questions. And I think it would be easiest if you could type them in the chat box. But also if you would like to ask your question live, then you're welcome to raise your hand. Also, Simon, if you have any questions or comments at this point, please feel free to unmute and let me know if anything was unclear or if there's anything that you would like me to explain in more detail.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Just I will give some information to the participants. If you're having any other doubts, you can. Am I audible?
Yes.
Oh. So if you're having any queries regarding this, you can ask. Okay, ma'am. The question number one is whether the students who are doing teachers training, whether they can participate. What is the age group?
So the School Enterprise Challenge is open to pre-primary, primary, and secondary level schools. Basically, any school in any country can take part. The only exclusion is it is not open to universities.
So what is the age group? Maybe whether you are having any age criteria?
No, not really. We have had students as young as like 5 or 6 years old through to the last year of secondary school before they graduate. So 17, 18 years old. Of course, when the students are younger, they will need more support from you as teachers, but it works very well for students from around 6 years old to 18 years old.
Okay. Then I think in our country from class 1 to from pre-primary level to higher secondary till 12th, they can participate. Exactly. And one more question, whether the school business should run on everyday basis?
That's a very good question. No, we don't have any requirements about how often you must run the school business. It completely depends on what the business is and your students' availability to work on it. So some students that have a business that runs in school, like for example, selling snacks to students, they might choose to run it every day that they're at school. Other teams that have a different type of business that requires them to leave the school grounds and maybe sell at a market, they might only do sales once a week or even once a month. So it is really completely up to you and what works in your context.
Okay, one more question, whether the business should run inside the school premises or else we can do it outside also?
Either way is fine. It depends on what product you're selling and where your customers are. So lots of students at the beginning choose to run a business in school because it can be a bit easier when you start to sell to people you know, like other students and teachers and the parent community. However, we feel that there is lots of experience and skills to be gained from going outside of the school. So if it is permitted for your students to leave the school to make sales and to carry out the business planning activities outside of school, then we would recommend that if you can. but either way is fine. It's up to you.
Okay, and one more question, how long the business should run? So whether any timeline for that?
Sure. So the ideal timeline is for the business to run for at least 3 months before your students report back to us and complete their annual report. And that is because you might be familiar with other business programs where students put up a stall and make sales for a day. And that's great. But we strongly feel that the longer the business runs for, the more the students can learn from their mistakes and grow the business and make more money. So our recommendation is that your students run the business for 3 months at least before they submit their annual report. And that is why I was recommending that you register as soon as you can, then work on your business idea and business plan by the 22nd of August. And that way you'll have 3 months until the final deadline of the 22nd of November to complete the annual report.
And one more question, how many students can participate in a group?
Another good question. So there is no minimum or maximum limit, but we strongly recommend a minimum group size of 15 students. That's 15. And the reason is because for many students who haven't done anything like this before, I'll be honest, like planning and running a business can seem scary and a bit difficult at first. So the more students that are involved, the easier it is for them to divide the responsibilities between them and support each other. And there's a whole lesson which covers our recommendations on business team structure and how students should organize the activities that need to be done. And the other reason, of course, for involving more students is so that more can benefit. So I would say probably the average business team size is about 30 students. Some are much bigger than that. Some schools involve 100 or 200 students, especially in making the products. But we really encourage you to choose a team size, which means that everyone gets the chance to be involved in every part of running the business. So every student gets to make the product, they get to sell it, count up the money, do the financial reporting, because in that way they'll have a more rounded experience and develop a wider range of skills.
Okay, and one more query from Manjunatha sir. Yes, please.
Hello.
Hello, yes sir.
Hello.
You can introduce yourself and
I am Manjunath from Karnataka. Is there any idea for rural students? Business ideas. Actually, rural students are suffering from economical problem and they don't have to purchase even a notebook. In such a condition, how to conduct a business or any skills in our school?
So thank you for your questions. In answer to your first question about business ideas for rural students, firstly, I'll tell you, over the years, we've had thousands of schools take part successfully from both rural and urban areas. I think probably the most popular business in rural areas tends to be growing vegetables, like agricultural related businesses. But really it depends on what resources you've got at your school and in the local area, which you could use to start a business, and also what the need is. if there is any gap in the market that your students could fill with their business because there's no other business like it, but it's something that lots of people want to buy. And our educational materials will provide lots of guidance on that process of doing a resource assessment and brainstorming business ideas. So yes, that's the answer to your first question. The second one, I didn't quite understand it. Please, could you repeat it? Simon, did you hear the second question?
No. No. Yes, ma'am, Sheetal. And Ravi, sir.
Sir, good evening.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, this is Sheetal from Telangana. And I'm teaching social studies in the school, sir. And whenever I have a free periods, I teach my students beads craft. I mean, making small keychains and the door hangings as a part of an art and craft. I teach my students beads craft. And already they prepared some hundreds and 200s of keychains by now. And we are planning to exhibit it on a National Skill Day, which is on 15th of July. So can we take it as our business initiative, and can we take a part on this challenge? Is it possible for us to do that? I mean, we have the products ready in our hand. So I will have a word with my principal, ma'am, and can I go ahead with that? Could you please help me out with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so pleased to hear that. That sounds like the perfect product that you could sell. And in fact, it's a really popular one, especially in India. I know lots of teams sell things like handicrafts, beaded products, like you mentioned. So once you register, because you've already got your business idea and you've already got your product, it means that your students will be able to complete the lessons in step 1 and step 2 very quickly, which is great. And then they can move on to launching and running their business sooner. So it sounds like a perfect idea. Please do go ahead and register.
Yeah, I got the message from Manjunatha, sir. The second question is that how the economically weak students in such conditions, how they can conduct business. So this was the second question. I hope you have answered that.
If I'm understanding correctly, I think maybe you're asking about raising the startup capital. So at Teach a Man to Fish, we don't provide the seed capital for students to set up their business. But that's because we believe that it's a really important part of the entrepreneurial experience for the students to learn how to raise the startup capital themselves. And we find that it is not a barrier. So even if you're in a rural area or you have more economically disadvantaged students, they'll still be able to take part because we provide these easy to follow business guides and all of the support that you need through WhatsApp and email and online events. So it means you don't need anything to get started because our lessons will show you how you can make something out of nothing and raise the money that you need to start a business so that you can earn more income for your school.
Thank you. And Ravi, sir? Yes.
Hi, this is Ravi from Puducherry. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Actually, how do you assess the projects? Because there are vast variety of students. The age group you said is from pre-primary to high secondary, right? So how do you assess the projects?
That's a good question. So I've spoken a bit about the achievement criteria, which is what our expert panel of judges uses to review the submissions, and you'll have access to that once you've registered. So you can see the criteria for yourself and know how the submissions are going to be assessed. But we do also take into account the different contexts in which participants are operating. So we pay attention, for example, to how well or less well resourced the school is, where it's located, the age of the students, their quality of English. All of these factors are taken into consideration to make sure that the assessment is fair. And every year, we always award prizes to schools at all levels. So if you're a pre-primary teacher or a primary teacher, you don't need to worry, you won't be at a disadvantage because the age of the students is taken into account when the judges are reviewing the very best submissions.
Okay, but you said the quality of English, right? So
no,
you will interact.
Sorry, I was saying the quality of English is not an assessment criteria because we only provide, the program is run in English and Spanish, and we understand that for many students, English is not their first language. So when the judges are reviewing the submissions, they make sure to take account for that. So you will not be penalized and you will not be at a disadvantage if the English is not as high a standard as other schools.
Okay, but anyway, you will interact with the students through English, right?
We don't interact directly with the students. We interact with you as teachers. So when you register for the program, it's you as the teacher that needs to complete the registration form to get the account, which I showed you on the platform. And then we will interact with you through email, WhatsApp, Facebook, and online events. And then you will be leading your students through the program.
So there is no direct interaction with the students by you at any point of time, right?
Yes, there's none planned at the moment, but we would like to put on more online events this year to bring together students. But at the moment, that is how it works. We don't interact directly with the students on a regular basis.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ravi. And Nitya, yes.
Hello.
Yes. Yes, yes.
I would like to, I'm Nitya from Oreintation. Ma'am, I would like to know whether parents' involvement can be applied here.
Parents?
Since we have primary kids, can we involve parents' support?
Whether the parents can be involved, Janka?
No, parents' support can be involved here.
Support.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Parent support.
Okay.
Simon, would you mind repeating the question? Was it whether parents can be involved and supported?
Yes, yes. Whether they can support the students when they are implementing the project.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I really recommend that you do involve the parents because for many parents might find that this is quite an unusual project for students to be running a business at such a young age. So I would recommend that you sensitize parents very early on so they understand what the students are doing and all of the wonderful benefits that they're going to get from it. Exactly how the parents support you is up to you. as I've explained, it should be the students that are actually leading the project, making the product and selling it and so on. But the parents could support with, for example, logistical arrangements, like getting students to sales events, that kind of thing.
Okay. And then Azizun Nisha, Anifia Nurchan. Azizun Nisha, I'm trying to unmute you. And then one more question, whether the students who passed out already, whether they can be involved in the business.
Students who have left school.
Yes, yes.
The students who have left school can't actually participate in the program because it's only for school-aged students. However, we have another program called the Enterprise Adventure, which is for individual young people. So if your students that have passed out are interested in this type of program where they have a chance to plan and run a business and build these sorts of skills, then you can tell them about the Enterprise Adventure. And I will put the link in the chat box now.
Azizun Nisha. I'm trying to unmute. And yes, Oppo.
Good evening, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
What type of business we can teach for the students, ma'am? We can teach online businesses?
Yes, you can do. So as I mentioned, you can teach any type of business, and it depends, the type of business that your students choose to run should depend on the resources that they have available and the needs in their community. But over the last 2 years, because of the pandemic, we have seen an increase in the number of schools who are running online businesses. So for example, last year, a school started a podcast. We've had other schools doing online events and selling tickets, like film screenings, language classes, dance showcases. As I said earlier, your students' imagination is the only limit. And when you register, you'll find lots more case studies to inspire your students of the kinds of things that other schools have done.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, ma'am, I'm Alicia Merchant from MSP Nasik, and I'm speaking from Maharashtra. Hello, am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, you are. Thank you for introducing yourself.
Ma'am, I had a question. I just wanted to know that before we get registered for any kind of program like this, we would like to have details, like, everything in detail in a kind of maybe a brochure or something that you could post on WhatsApp, ma'am. Could you do that?
Definitely. We have an information pack which is available to download on our website, but also I will share the information pack on WhatsApp after today's session.
Okay, this is one question. Thank you very much, ma'am. And the second question that I have is that, do the students have to pay some kind of initial amount to register for this kind of project or something to participate in this project?
No, the program is completely free for teachers and students and schools. We do not charge any fee for you to take part. The only money that your students will need to find a way to raise is the startup capital for their business. But as I've explained, there are different ways of doing that. So some students choose to invest their money to put it together so that they have enough money to buy the materials for the product that they want to make, for example. But that is completely optional. And there are many other ways that they can raise the money, like by getting a loan from the school or getting investment from local businesses. So they don't have to invest their own money if they don't want to or are not able to.
Okay, that's all, ma'am. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And Varunani, yes.
Hello. Hello, good evening.
Hello.
Ma'am, I am Varunani, a secondary grade teacher from Tamil Nadu. Ma'am, I just want to know that we are initiating a business plan in our school. I am a primary school teacher. I am going to do this. I am trying to do this for primary children. If I am doing this and we have submitted our project in your school dashboard, is it over or we should continue this after that November 22, the deadline? We have to maintain this for a particular period of time. Is there any rules on this?
On how long your students should run the business for? Was that the question?
No, she is asking whether she has to run the business after November 22nd also.
It is up to you. So we would encourage you to keep running the business for as long as you can, so that next year, perhaps you can grow the business with the same group of students, or maybe if the students are no longer able to be involved, then you can get new students to run the business. But from our side, there is no requirement of how long you must run the business for. It's just something that we recommend that you keep it running so that more students can benefit from it in the future.
Okay, Ravi.
Hi, this is Ravi again. Since you said types of business, so it can be product based or service based, right? Service based business can also run, right?
Yes, exactly. Really, any business that your students can make money from. I would say the majority of participants have a product-based business, but you're very welcome to do a service business if you prefer.
So while the assessment, is there any impact? The type of business will do any impact?
You mean if it has, if it affects the growth of the student's skills?
No. On the assessment part, I'm asking.
No impact. No, they're assessed the same way.
Okay, thank
you. Yes, Aditya.
Yes, good evening, ma'am. This is Adityan from Tamil Nadu. And the thing is, as you mentioned, there are 3 steps.
Yes.
First step is to business idea, and second is to plan, and third is to execute. Can we start by second step, and will that be assessed?
That's a good question. So the way that the program works, you are required to go through the steps in order. But as I mentioned, step 1 is really quick and easy. It's only 4 lessons, and lots of schools manage to complete step 1 in just 1 or 2 weeks. It is really an important part of the journey that your students think carefully about what type of business they're going to set up, and that they understand whether it's feasible before they start step 2, which is planning. So you do need to go through the steps in order, but if you've already got an idea, then it will be much quicker and you'll be able to progress through them faster.
Yeah, good evening, madam.
Good evening.
Can you hear me, madam? Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, I am M. Sheshachari from Telangana, madam, Government High School, Bongiri district, Yadadri Bongiri district. Actually, my question is, most of the students are from, those who are coming to our government institutions are from below poverty line, madam. Okay, they are poor, even to purchase their notebooks. So will you please suggest the profitable businesses to those students? Is any help is available to start this and to participate in your programs, madam? And anything is available on WhatsApp or on your website, madam?
Thank you for your question. So first of all, we have the Raising the Startup Capital Guide. I'll show you what it looks like. This guide is available to download in lesson 4, and it's full of examples of how students can raise the money that they need to start their business. So even if they're very poor at the moment and they don't have money available to invest in the business, we give them lots of ideas of how they could do it using things that they might have available for free. So for example, in the past, lots of schools have chosen to recycle material and make them into something that they could sell to make money. Or one school used reeds, which they weaved into baskets. So they collected things which were lying around the school grounds or fruit that has dropped off trees and sold that to get the money that they needed to start their main business idea. In answer to your other question about if I can recommend a business that's particularly profitable, that's kind of difficult to answer because it depends on what needs there are in your community. Like, what do customers want to buy? So a business that has been particularly successful in Uganda, for example, might not work so well in your context.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sasikala Rajan?
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
Sir, can you hear?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Sir, I am working as a graduate teacher in Tamil Nadu. Can I help my students?
Ma'am, you are muted. Try to unmute and speak.
Hello?
Yes, continue, ma'am, please.
Sir, as a teacher, can I help my students financially?
Yes, absolutely. You're welcome to, yes.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
And then 3 more questions. Komatam Nashivas.
Good evening. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
I am Narasimhacharlu from government school in Andhra Pradesh. I would like to know, can we do this type of things in our school without the permission of the government, or should we take the permission of the government? For example, if we do these things, the government may object us later and they may suspend us from the service. What should we do, madam?
That's a very good question. So if you're concerned, I would recommend that you speak to your local district education officer to get permission. Of course, we don't want you to get into any trouble with the authorities. However, to reassure you, We don't have a relationship with the government in India where they mandate that schools are allowed to take part in the School Enterprise Challenge, but nevertheless, thousands of government schools in India have taken part in the past without a problem. So I would hope that it would not be a problem for you, but just to be on the safe side, it is probably best to check with your government authorities if you have concerns.
Yes, madam, it is required from your side. From your side, it is required, madam. Otherwise, what will happen? You know, the government is paying some thousands of rupees to the students just by coming and attending the school. Per year, 13,000 rupees is being paid. Just they have to attend the school. So simply the government is giving the students money, not making the students to earn money. Nowadays, earning money is required. The students should know how to earn money, not simply taking money from the government. If the government is paying like
Yes, and Rajalakshmi Ramaswamy. I'm unmuting, and after that.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, sir. This is Rajalakshmi Ramaswamy from Pune. Actually, I would like to know one thing, that means how much minimum profit children will get.
How much money will they make through their business?
Minimum profit.
Well, it depends on the type of business that they run and how successful it is. There's no minimum profit that we require in order for them to have a chance of winning a prize and receiving their certificates. But on average, the average profit generated is about $200 US per school.
Thank you, ma'am.
The last question from Jagata Sudarshan.
Good evening, ma'am, and good evening, sir. This is me, Jagata Sudarshan from Tamil Nadu. Whether the final decision for the project will be decided based on the profit the student earn or the theme which they have selected.
Thank you for your question. So the decision on which business idea to go with is part of lesson 3. And in lesson 3, the students will do what is called a feasibility study, where they'll compare 2 of their favorite business ideas and decide which one they would like to actually plan and implement. And as part of the feasibility study, there are lots of different factors that they look at. You've mentioned 2 of them, or one. So they look, for example, at how much profit they could make, which one would be more profitable. But they also think about if they already have all of the materials that they need to get started, or if they could get them easily. Which business would provide more educational value? Which business has more demand? So they go through a series of questions, and in that way, the team will decide together, based on the answers, which idea they think is going to be more successful, and that is the one that they pursue.
And the final question from Lauren Dirineto.
Yeah, hello, ma'am. How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Very well explained, ma'am. Ma'am, actually, I'm a student teacher from Tamil Nadu, from Tenkasi JP College. So actually, next month, we are going for a teaching practice to schools. So can we implement this business idea over there, ma'am? So that we can initiate the students to start up a business, because I was so impressed by your plans and all those things. So can we implement it in our teaching practice itself?
Please, could you just remind me, you said at the beginning, you're a graduate?
Yes, ma'am. I'm a B.Ed student, ma'am. I'm doing my B.Ed in JP College of Engineering. Sorry, B.Ed. So I just want to know, can we use this idea for when we are going for teaching practice? We go to schools for teaching practice. Can we use this idea to initiate students over there to start up their business, and we could follow up in the regular basis because we'll be there with them for around 16 weeks. So can we use this?
Absolutely. That's a really good question. I was going to ask, it depends on how regularly you visit the school, but if you will be with them for 16 weeks, then that is perfect. I would recommend that you find a teacher at the school who can register the school, and the teacher should be the one that supports the students to answer the questions and complete the submission documents. But you as a BA student who's regularly visiting the school, you can definitely support and guide and encourage them to complete the program. It's a really nice idea.
Thank you, India Jankal. Now I request Ms. Ramya Sriram, UTA coordinator from Hyderabad, and she will be addressing the vote of thanks. And ma'am, please continue.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you so much, Ms. India Jankal. On behalf of UTA, I would like to thank you for conducting this session. It's really an eye-opener session for all the teachers. You have introduced us to a new platform where it is rich in resources, and we just have to, the teachers have to just implement it, and it's really inspiring teachers to work and think in a very different dimension. Usually we teachers, we just focus on the content that is there in the textbook, but now it has opened a different dimension for us. Definitely, I hope all the teachers would have inspired to use this platform and help students to develop a new skill, so which is very much essential for this 21st century. And thank you once again for patiently clarifying all the doubts of the participants, helping them to get started with this challenge. So we are all looking forward to compete each other now and give definitely challenge to each and everyone among us. And we would also like to thank all the participants for participating enthusiastically even during the weekend evening. So that is really appreciable of all the teachers. And thank you, everyone. I hope you all had a great session. Thank you once again, Miss India Jankal.
You're very welcome. I'm so glad that you enjoyed the session so much, Ramya. Thank you for your kind words. And I would also say thank you to all of you for giving up your Saturday evening to be here. It was fantastic. I really enjoyed getting to meet you, and we will stay connected on WhatsApp so I can share the information pack as promised, and answer any questions that you have on WhatsApp. As well, you can see on screen the other ways you can stay connected with us by email, on Facebook, and on Twitter. So we hope to receive your registration soon and welcome your schools to the School Enterprise Challenge 2022.
Yeah, sure, definitely. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. We are ending this session officially. Thank you so much for attending. If you're having any other queries, sure, India Jankal will be addressing you through WhatsApp. Thank you. Thank you all.